Strategic Guides. Windy Cliffs, 5 power, Legendary Fox. Let's dive into it.
Alright, so this chart is going to be very helpful, especially on this hole to get to the hole in one. So just kind of pause it if you need to. And then this one, when you're on the far right side, you're going to want to aim at that single point of grass right there. Full power just under it. And then you should be able to get the hole. If you aim in the middle, there's a 3 patch of grass right there. Full power right at it. And most of the time, you'll get the hole in one from any of those two front positions. For this hole is many different ones. So if you start on the left side, aim there. If you start down this middle, you want to aim at the tip of that dark square right next to the geyser. Full power. Just barely make it over, but you get the hole in one. If you start my favorite spot right here, just left of the dark triangle squares, and you will get it. On this one, I prefer to be on the second half right over here, or that red check mark is. If you land on the black box with the yellow X, generally it's a little bit harder because sometimes you'll miss this shot. And if you do land up at front, you just want to make sure you use one green spin forward, and that'll give you a higher success chance. This one I like to play the right path, just 2 spin forward, land it out over here. And then it's just going to be just over the lightest yellow you can get, right in the hole. Easy too. For this one, you're going to want to make sure you aim just on the right side of this wall over here, kind of like where that flag is. This is the ideal location, because then you can aim just right of that wall down there with a medium red, and that should get you to 2 every now and then. However, if you're back a little bit more, just full power it, same left side of that wall, and that should get you to 2 every now and then as well. For this one, I don't use the ramp anymore, so for whatever reason, there's a glitch where it doesn't work. So now you're just going to have to use a mid-yellow. Make sure to land it towards the bottom of the ramp. Don't land it on the ramp. If you do, it'll go back. It'll mess you up. So bottom of the ramp, easily gets you over here. And then you can get a nice, easy 3. For this one, it's super easy with 5 power. It's just kind of aim it at the tree, somewhere at the tree. Land it out over here. You just want to make sure you avoid that little center block. And then when you do, 1 spin forward, hard green. That should get you in the hole for 2 every time. For this one's a little tricky. So I like to hit it out here with just under the hardest orange you can get. That should leave you back before the wind starts on that bridge over here. Then you can just use a light red aiming to the far right side of those blocks. And you should be able to get the 2. This one I like to play, just do a light yellow, wait for this sliding platform to come, 2 spin forward, right at the double stack blocks over there in the back. You'll do a little love tap off it, and then a hard yellow right into the hole for an easy 3. For this one, if you start over here, you can just full power it over here. And then depending on where you leave it, so if you're where I am right now, you can just do 1 back spin, hard orange. That should get you in the hole. But depending, if you're a little bit closer, maybe just under a hard orange, or if you're a little bit more back, you may have to use a light red, but still the 1 back spin. This one, make sure you're using hard orange. Every now and then, if you're using the red, it may go out of bounds for whatever reason. And then this should get you safely over here. I like to use 1 spin forward. You can do 2. Generally doesn't matter. Sometimes you'll get a little weird air bounce, but I can stick with 1. For this one, what I like to do is I like to kind of keep it near the back and then land it on these 2 squares. That's generally ideal. And then you can just do 1 spin forward, aim it just left of that wall, and that should give you a 2 every now and then. Sometimes it may go out of bounds, so then in that case, just reduce your power to a light red. You should get 3 or say 4. This one, depending on where you land it, there's a couple different routes. So here's the first one. So if you're down here and you're blocked in the hole, just go and make sure you get your bounce so you can hit right here in this area, and that'll get you in the hole like so. There we go. However, if you are stuck up here, just aim at that little crack in the wall, use a hard orange, not max power as I did in that clip. And then if you're in the ideal location down here, just use a hard green straight into the hole. For this one I like to play is use 2 spin forward just after the triple stack blocks over there. And this should give you a perfect position over here. And then just one spin forward, full power. Try to land it off here. And then you get a nice, easy turn. This one, if you're blocked kind of, you're going to use one ground spin. Use a light red or a hard orange. Land it out over here. And then it's going to be a medium red. And the goal really is to wait for that geyser to come up, so you want to kind of land it just, otherwise you'll get some weird bounces. It may go short or it may go long, so if you kind of just fire it just before you know the geyser is going to go off with that light red to medium, that should generally get you into the 2. This one, just full spin, aim just outside of the wall, wait for the ramp to go up, and then it's going to be barely over the lightest orange you can get, and that should get you in for your 2. This one is tricky to get the 2, but it's possible. So what I like to do is aim it over here. We're just going to use 2 backspin, ground spin, land it over here, and get a happy 3. If you land on the ramp, sometimes if you do the 2 backspin, it may get a little bit too high. So just scale it down to a hard orange. This one with your spins, you want to make sure you're aiming it in the center over here. And then aim again, so you kind of want to be over here. Ideally, you don't want to be too far left where John is. And then we can just aim on the left side, 1 backspin, that should give you the 3. This one, there's 2 ways to play it. So you're going to just hard green off here. And if you go over this bridge, just wait for it to come, full power. And that'll give you an easy 3. My preferred way to play it, though, is come over here, shoot it over the geyser. And then you're just going to use the lightest orange you can. Aim it straight at the hole, and that will also give you a 3. For this one, what I like to do is you're going to wait for the geyser to come right about now and release it. And you want to aim where this red square is, because that's going to land you after the geyser in this ideal position, roughly over here. Maybe a block more to the left is ideal, but this will still work. And then you're going to use just over the lightest orange, just before mid-orange, so the orange starts to shake just before there. And that'll give you your 2. This one, always use 1 spin forward, lightest red you can get. Aim it just left of this geyser to land you in a pretty good position over here. And then just 1 backspin. You have to get the angle a little bit. Once you figure it out, it's pretty easy. And then you can get a nice 2 more. This one, it's pure luck to get the hole-in-one, but you're just going to fire it out over here on the left side, get enough angle, and then you'll get hole-in-one. Most of the time, you're going to get a 2. This one, you can also get a 2. I generally don't play for the 2. I just fire it over here, full power it over here, and it generally just gives you a safe 3. Every now and then you can get a 2, but I generally don't play for it. Alright, this one, the easiest way I found is if you're in the furthest away position, you're going to use a mid-orange, 1 spin forward, and it should generally give you at least a 2, hole-in-one every now and then. But if you're in the closest position, same 1 spin forward, just over a light orange. You have to bounce off this, and it'll give you the hole. However, every now and then you do get stuck here. No worries, just use your ground spin on the ball. Medium greenish, that should get you in the hole. This one, always do 2 forward spin, light red. This will land you in the perfect position behind the geyser. If you don't, if you don't use the 2 spin, you may come up short, or if you do the full power, you may go too long. So the light red. Alright, now we're in the shootout. So if you're not blocked, I like to generally do this. So just aim out here. It's going to be a mid-yellow. That'll give you a good, easy line into the hole. If you're in the back position right here, you're going to do a similar thing. Just aim it a little bit more left of that center block right there. We're still going to use just over a mid-yellow, and this should give you a nice, clean line into the hole. However, if you are blocked, there's this little triangle block right there, the dark one. Aim at the tip of that, and it's going to be just under, kind of like a mid-yellow, hard yellow, just under it. And then generally that should give you a good line into the hole. This one's a tricky one, but you want to aim kind of up in the ramp. And if you're way back, you just need to use a little bit more power. So it's going to be a hard yellow. And those are the kind of angles that you want to look for, generally good enough. You can also kind of do this. It doesn't always work, but if you can get the angles right, it gets you a little close. It's not very consistent though. This one's a tough one. You just kind of want to shove it out to the right over here. It's going to be just under a hard orange in most cases. And anywhere under 1 is a pretty good score into the hole. Most people go pretty long. So if you can kind of like getting into this range for most, that's generally pretty good. This one, just kind of work on your angles, just figure out. So if you start kind of closer to the hole, in proximity for like Dan is, for example, you're going to have to aim a little bit further to the right of it. Whereas if you're already on the furthest right you can aim a little bit closer to the hole. So like there, for example, kind of find those angles. I generally find a lightest orange is pretty good. It'll give you a good bounce off the wall. And this one, it's always going to be generally like a hardest orange you can. Just throw it out to the right. It's usually a lot further than you think it actually is going to